Here's another video for you guys, and tell me what you think in the comments below.
The word karma is thrown around a lot in spiritual conversations, and in scientific conversations we see the same phenomenon, but we call it the universal law of cause and effect, which some may have heard through Newton's third law of motion, which tells us that for every action there is an opposite and equal reaction. Just to be clear, a thought is also an action. In religious conversations, especially those within the Abrahamic faith backed by their religious texts, we see this phenomenon in one of two ways. The first is through the text, which tells us that you reap what you sow. And the second is through the teaching of end times prophecy, which is specifically about judgment. All three of these fields, spiritual, religious, and scientific, are talking about the same principle and calling it a different thing. Karma, the great law, the law of cause and effect, which is actually the first law of karma, but there are 12 laws of karma. The first law of karma, the great law, or the law of cause and effect, tells us that whatever thoughts, ideas, energy, and action you put out are going to come back to you in some form, which doesn't mean the same form, just some form. Whatever vibration you existed at when you thought the thought, when you acted upon the action, is going to be the same vibration that comes back to you. Meaning, to the extent that you exist within negativity, you are going to remain in negativity because it is unavoidable. That's what you created, which is the second law of karma, the law of creation. This law tells us that life doesn't just happen to us, it requires our active participation. Meaning, in order to create, you must do, which is substantiated by the religious text, which tells you faith without works is dead. It's great to believe on something, but what are you going to do about it? In the scientific field, we see this in Newton's first law of motion, which tells us that an object at rest will stay at rest unless an outside force disrupts it. Therefore, in order to create, you must put energy in motion. You must disrupt your own thought processes to create something new. Once you have the thought of creating something and you take steps to actually ensure that it is created, the universe will ensure that it happens, which is substantiated by the science, which tells us through Newton's first law, the same way that an object at rest stays at rest, an object in motion stays in motion unless that object is disrupted. Therefore, once you get the ball rolling, you are going to finish the goal. You're going to get to the finish line. unless a new thought process comes in your mind and disrupts it. The third law of karma is the law of humility, which tells us in order to change something, you must first accept it. Without accepting it, there's nothing to change. You don't even see that there is a need to do anything different. Therefore, you must see it. You must face it head on. Pretending that the world is without evil doesn't heal the world. In the same way that pretending that you are without evil, without traumas, triggers, insecurities, doubts, and fear, does nothing to heal you. It's not conducive to anything good for you. Therefore, in order to get to goodness, you must face the fact that you are not yet there, which goes hand in hand with the fourth law of karma, which is the law of growth. In order for things to change, you must change. Instead of focusing on trying to change others or trying to change your external environment, you need to focus on trying to change yourself. Focus on improving your heart, and your entire environment will change, because the world at an individual level is your body, and at a collective level is the earth. So to the extent that you change your thought processes and you change your mind, you heal within, you will see a difference, because everything happens inward, outward. Fifth law of karma is the law of responsibility, which tells us that we are responsible for everything that occurs in our life. Every action, every thought, every experience, it came by way of us giving it permission to in our mind. Happening to you, you are creating everything. Sixth law of karma is the law of connection. Everything in the universe is connected, past, present, and future. Time is not real. It's an illusion. It's fake. It's part of the matrix. It is the matrix, which is substantiated by the religious text, which tells us that the mark of the beast is 666. And we know that time is measured in 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 2 + 4 or 6 hours in a day. 0 is not a real number. So when you remove the zeros, you get 666. That is the end times. Time is ending. There is no time. There just is. The seventh law of karma is the law of focus, which tells us that you can't actually focus on two things at once. You cannot focus on positivity and negativity simultaneously. You can only do one or the other. Therefore, you cannot exist in negativity while thinking positive thoughts, and you cannot exist in positivity while thinking negative thoughts. That's impossible. It cannot happen. That does not mean that outside forces will not come into your space and try to disrupt your vibration. Quite the contrary. However, when you are existing in positive thoughts and a positive frequency, positive vibration, although those things will attempt to come into your aura and your space, you will repel them naturally. You will transmute the energy because you were thinking something else. It's not going to match you. Because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it will have to be transformed. Again, this is substantiated by the religious text, which tells you, be angry and sin not. Sin is an archery term that means missing the mark, missing the target. The target is the fruit of the spirit: love, joy, peace, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, patience, right? It doesn't tell you not to be angry. It tells you, yes, you will be angry. You will experience these emotions, energy and motion. However, do not change the frequency. Do not miss the target, which will always be love. And just to be clear, you can show up as love and set your boundaries. You should. Which brings me to the eighth law of karma, which is the law of giving and hospitality, which tells us that our actions should match our thoughts and our thought processes. Meaning it's not enough to talk about it. You gotta be about it. If you believe it, show up like it. To the extent that your actions are not an accurate representation of your thought processes, you are not in alignment. You're building up negative karma. The ninth law of karma is the law of here and now. In order to exist fully, you must exist in the present moment. To the extent that you exist anywhere else, you're creating inner dialogue in your thought processes. You're thinking about what you need to do tomorrow. You're thinking about somebody or something. You're not here in the present moment doing what you're actually doing. You're existing in negative energy. The 10th law of karma is the law of change, which tells us that history repeats itself until you do something different to change the path. We are creatures of habit at an individual and collective level. So what this means is, if you don't change the patterns in your life, you are going to continue acting out the same patterns over and over. In the same way, at a collective level, if we don't change the things that are happening in our world and have always happened in our world, they're gonna keep happening. The law of karma is the law of patience, and all rewards require consistency and discipline. If you put no effort behind it, you won't get it. If you keep working towards it, it will absolutely come to you. And finally, the 12th law of karma, equally as important as the first, which is the law of significance and inspiration, which tells us that no reward is greater than one that benefits the whole. They must serve more than just yourself. They must serve the
And this has been Seriously Yours. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video.
I don't need to get revenge for what you did. Karma's got you now. So good luck.